Good afternoon, guys. I'm audible.
Yes, sir, you are audible.
So, guys, any doubt on first half session? Any queries? Because right now we are going to move in a backend side. So we are going to write the backend code. Any question on this, or either we are going to start the backend? Okay, so I'm moving to the backend because if no doubts are coming. So we are moving to the add section. On in this add section, we are going to write the backend for add, right? So for writing the backend for add, I just close down this front end layer. And from the backend side, this is the web app. And we need to first go to the schema. We have the user.js, that is a schema for the user. The similar schema we need to create for nodes. So we'll create a node schema, right? So nodes.js we are going to create. So Akshat is saying, will we make routes? Yes. Now Akshat, because you know the routing today, so now you can convert this login and registration in routes instead of putting if else, right? So you have two variety of using the thing. One is the if else we already done, and today we have done the routing. So you can convert the login registration to the routing purpose, right? So you can create two routes for this also. So we are here in nodes.js, and in nodes.js we are going to create the schema stuff. So use the same thing. We have the schema syntax. So we copy the syntax and paste it. We paste it for the nodes, right? And in the nodes, we have this mongo.schema. So here we need something called node schema. And the node schema, we need the name of the node, that is string. It is required. It is either in lowercase, trim, minimum. Let's say we are saying the node's name would be of 3 character and max of 25 character. And we need something called description. So we need something description, right? So we need the description of a node, and in this description is string, required true, minimum length, let's say 3 character, and maximum can be anything. And these things we need it, right? And plus we also take something called status, and I use the thing called status and make it in a quotes. Status key value pair, and its default value of status is active. It is active status. So it means your nodes are active. So it means if you want to delete any node, so you can just make a flag to D. So it is become deactive. Now from here I will say a word called nodes. It's become a nodes, and it is part of whom? It is part of node schema. So I will use node schema, and what you will get at the end, node model, right? And here we will say it's a node model. I hope everyone understand how to create this nodes.js. This is representing a schema. So we have the schema stuff here, right? Once we have the schema of nodes, we need something called helper. So like we did user CRUD, we need to done the thing called node CRUD. So we need to write a node CRUD. So it is quite similar. That's why I'm just showing you what we have done. The similar kind of stuff we need to do it. So I just do copies this thing and paste it in node CRUD, but it is quite different. Only the structure would be same. So it would be I need to use something called node model. So instead of copy pasting, because the entire model will be get changed. So I just want to show first thing we need the model. So same here we need the model. We already create this schema, that is a model, and we already export it, right? Make sense? So Prapti is asking nodes. This is a nodes.js. Prapti. It is just similar like your user schema. It has only the structure of your schema. So it has a name, it has a description, it has the status. That's it. And we export it. I hope you understand this thing. And now we are moving to something called node CRUD. And from the node CRUD, we need something called node model, and require this thing from schema, and that is nodes. Right, so we have this notes, and now we need something called note operations. So first operation we need is add. In add we will pass what? We will pass note object. And because we have this note model, so we will use something called create, and we will pass something called note object. Right, so it is quite similar which we have done, and then it is going to return what? It is going to return promise, and we are returning a promise. This is the add logic. Now next logic is fetch, right? So we want to fetch all the records, so it is just a read logic. So we are reading all the objects, right? So I will say note model dot, and I will say find. So because in find I am going to find all of them, so I will say curly bracket. So it is going to find all of them. All of them will be get find, right? And it required what? It required a callback. So you can have the callback even when you're doing the find. So you can have something called select. In the select, you can specify the arguments which you want to select. It means what sort of values you want to see. So I am saying I want to see in notes, I want to see the name and the description status not. So I will say, I will say here name I want to see and the description I want to see, but status not. So when I am writing this, so it will return the thing called then. So it means it is returning a promise. So here I will pick the promise, and here I will say return promise. So here I am returning a promise. I hope everyone understand this thing. So read we have done, it is going to return a promise. Add we have done, it is going to return a promise, and at the end module dot exports equals to note model. Right. So this model dot export is going to export this note model. So now this note model we are going to consume it. I hope everyone understand this thing. Now what we have done so far, we have created a CRUD same like user CRUD, and we have created a schema same like user schema. So we have schema connection, so everything is already there. Connection is talking to the atlas, so we have the reference of atlas. Right. Now the point is, because we have all these rest of the stuff, so we go to the routes. In the routes, we need to create something called note route. Right. So we create a note route, and here we need something called route, and here we need first of all the express. So I will write require express, and here I specify express dot router. So when I write express dot router, we have the router object. And Jatin is saying, sir, for adding instead of node model dot create, we can use node model. Yes. So the only difference is when you use node model dot create, it means node model is a node model object, and then we use a create. But when you use a dot save method, so you need a model object. I mean, the point is you need to first create an object and then call save. So this is the major difference. For example, if you have the object of schema type, I do not have the schema type objects. That's why I use create instead of the save. So if you just go here, if you see, I have the model thing and I use create. But if my note object of which type of note model type, then I use dot save. I hope you understand. So it is primarily note model dot create. It is like a static method. Like it's like a static method. When you're using dot save, it is like non-static one. It means you first create an object of node model, fill the values, and then call save. Then there is no need to pass an object. That is the only difference. I hope you understand. So primarily both of them for me is working fine. So I use for me I use the create. Otherwise I need to first create an object and then I call a save. So instead of doing two step, I do one step. So I use express dot router, and from here I will say route dot post. Right, in this post, what I want to post, I want to do add. Right, so I just make it more meaningful. I say add note. So I want to do this add note, and this add note has this request and response object. Right, and in the request and response object, it is going to do what? It is going to say, is this done this request response thing or not. So for this, we will first call const, and I will say node crud require. I'm saying require, and then I will say dot dot dot, and in DB and in the helpers and in this node crud, right? So I have the node crud, and from the node crud, I will say node crud. What will happen? I will say node crud dot, and we have the method called add. Right. So we have the method called add. What is showing add listener? Just a minute, guys. Exported now. Sorry, I exported accidentally this. I need to export node operations, right? So it's an operations, right? So that's why it is not giving the help. That's why now add is coming. So node crud dot add, and what I need to pass, I need to pass the request and the response thing. So request contain the name. The first thing, it contain the name. So name is request dot body dot name, and next thing, it contain the description. So request dot body dot description, right? Two things, and I will create an object here. So I will say a node object equals to, and here I will say I need to pass a key called name, and it has a value name, then key called description, and it has the value called description, right? So name and description, and these things are quite similar like nodes. So in nodes, we have this name and description. Status is by default A. So if you not pass it, it is by default A. Right. All right. So because the thing is, we need to complete a lot of things. That's why I'm typing fastly. Anyway, so I just show you Prapti want node crud. So node crud.js has only the node operations, and it has two methods, add and read. Right. Add and read. This is clear. And in node routes, I have the post, and in post I have add node, and I pick name and description. So I pick both of them. And now from here, I am in this node object, right? And I place everything in this node object. But we're asking why hint was not shown, because I accidentally write here node model. I accidentally specify node module.exports node model. I need to export node operations. Right. That's why. I hope this thing is clear, guys. Video is lagging. I just do one thing, guys. I just exit and then re-enter it. So I just try it, exit and re-enter. Then we will see is the lagging is again or not, right? So what I will do, I just exit and then re-enter it. Now guys, just check the screen is lagging present or not. The screen is still lagging or not? Because I started, meanwhile, because I restarted. Now I want to check. Okay, I hope everyone understand we have this route and we have this name and the description and we have the object and node_crud.add we have done. So from this node_crud.add, I will pass something called node object, right? So I'm passing something called node object, right? So this node_crud.add picking this node object, and based on it, it is returning what? It is going to return promise. It is going to return some promise, and I can say I can do await. So await means it should wait for a response, and you know when we use await, we will use something called async. So I specify async, and what we'll get some response because we call this thing, so it will give what it will give some response, right, as a back. So some response will become. If response is there, right, and response is correct and there is no issue on this, so we'll say if response is there, and same process. I just want to show you the same process. I am repeating it because whatever I have done here, I have done in user outs. So that's why I just want a quick comparison. Here I use promise.then. So here instead of this promise.then, I just use await. Await will wait it, and it will give a response. So if the response is coming, so it will show you some response. If the response is not coming, there might be some chances of exception error would be get generated. If the error will be coming, so I will put this code inside the try catch. I'll put inside the try catch. So I will say catch E, right? If some error is coming. If not, if I'm just checking if response is present or not, right? So I choose if response. Right. If response means is the response is there or not, still it's lagging. Now I don't know the reason because I restarted the machine. I also check the speed. I don't know why. So if anything is missed, so please ask in between. So I have the response. So the response is coming up. So if the response is there, so we will say if response is present. So response would be present. So I will send some message. I will send some output. So send some output. I will say response.json. It means correctly. It is correctly added the record. If it's correctly added, so I will say message note. I will say note added successfully. So this message will become in our screen. That note is added successfully. Else if it is not, so it will say response.json problem in note add, right? So it will show this thing, and if it is going a exception phase, I will say problem in note add error occur, right? So this is what I have done. So if you just walk through, we have the add node. When we call this add node, it is talking to the database. It is try to add it. If it is added successfully, so it will give a message, and that message will become. So now the point number one is first test this thing. Is this thing is working or not? How you will test it? Open a terminal, right? Open a terminal. So here in the bottom we have this terminal. From this terminal section, go to your folder. So I am in CD web app. I am here. Once you are in this folder, just do npm start. Your server is started. Then open a postman. Then open a postman. Right. So postman is get open. And now test this thing. You are in localhost 1234 and I need to type the URL. So the URL I'm typing is add. So I type the add URL, right? Go to the body section, specify the note. So note is, let's say, watching movie. And the description is Iron Man 3, let's say. Make sense? So this would be my note description. I click on send. If it is added, so and now it is not added. Na? So I need to specify, yep, correct point. Akshat saying the correct point. So it means because I create a new route, so it has to be added where? It has to be added in this. Makes sense? Now there is another problem, guys, because when I call this, I think somebody has the same, I mean, add operation also. So it means search add. Here it add is also present, right? So this add is also present. So it would be a to-do add. We will take it as a to-do add. So we will just go to the app.js. In app.js, you will write something called app.use. And we start this as a to-do, right? We start with something called to-do. So it would not be get conflicted. And here I will say require. And in this require, I will specify something called /routes/notes, right? So it's a notes, right? So instead of to do, I will use the word called notes. Make sense? So notes add it would be. So I am adding this route, so it will take care of this, right? It is saying something. Okay. So I think node routes, it has to be module.exports. So just go here and specify module.exports equals to route, right? And do Control C here and do clear. It is giving some error. First we rectify. I think notes.schema has some error, right? So just go back to the schema section, and it is saying default is not a valid status.default. So it is saying where notes.js in the line number 4. Okay, and it is saying type error, invalid schema configuration. A is not a valid type of the status. Okay. Why it is saying this thing in a status? I will say type would be string, right? And it has something because it is saying in the status I think it is having something called default. And that's why I use a default value A. Just a minute, guys. To send. And when I do send, still it is not. Okay, it is perfectly because I am calling add. So it would be notes.add. It is notes.add or it is something else. Just a minute, it's notes and /add. I will repeat. I just check the error first of all. What is the error is coming? It's saying something went wrong. I think it is called something went wrong only and only when just a minute. Wi-Fi speed is coming low. Just a minute, guys. I will just reconnect again if the issue is same still. So I will reconnect it. I just restart my router. Just a minute. I will reconnect with my router, then I will resume. Hello.
Yes, sir.
Now, is it clear?
type something, sir.
So guys, we need to first check the error. The error is, so we'll just go here and let's say I do send. So it is saying something called oops, something went wrong. So just first of all, we need to check it out. What is the error is coming? So first thing is go to your app.js and in app.js just check app.use, and here I mentioned something called notes, right? It start with notes and then it go to the notes route. So it will go to the notes routes, and from the notes route, if we just check, we created a route, right? We created a route and we use module.exports route, right? We type module.exports route. So it means we are exporting this route. So this route is get exported, and because it is exported here, so it will be accessible here, right? It will be accessible here. So when we use notes slash and we use something called add, right? We use something called add. So it will go here, and we need to specify the post as well as. So we have the post localhost 1234 everything. We need to just check this out. I just restart the server first of all. So I will say npm start. So it will start the server. Now just check this out in the postman. Why I'm using a postman? Because I want to check is this working or not. So because localhost 1234 slash notes, it means it will be localhost 1234 says just it will go to the app.js because app.js is running on the 1234, right? On a 1234, it will look up for this something called notes, and from the notes we have something called note routes. So it will go to this note route, and in note route it will look up for something called add note. So we have something called add note. I think I mentioned add, so I go for add note, right? And when I paste this add note and I do send, so it has to give something. So it is giving node added successfully. Is this correct or not? We need to verify. Just go to Mongo Atlas, right? So I will go to something called Mongo Atlas, and from the MongoDB Atlas, I am here. Now, once we see the outcome, we will find out how all things are going on. So I just log in with my Gmail account in this Mongo Atlas. So from here, we connect to this first. We have already connected now. So from this, just go to the section of cluster 0 because this is we have already created. So it has a database called to-do, right? And it has a collections. So it has a collection of users. Now it has a collection of nodes as well as. So it must have the collection of nodes. So we need to just click on the collections that would be get loaded. It is taking some time to load. So it is retrieving the data, and now it is having the nodes. So it load your data, what we have added. So we have added watching movie Iron Man 3, right? So this is working and it generates this thing. Now I am talking about the flow, guys. So the flow is start with a postman. Postman says go to the localhost 1234. This is your system and then port number. Nodes is what? Nodes is a aliasing name. We can call it namespace. And add note is the name of the route, right? I am using add word. So that's why it is giving error. So when I go to the app.js, it is looking for something which start with nodes, right? It is asking for something. It is asking for nodes, and it is going for node routes, right? I hope this thing is clear, guys. It means when I'm going to the postman, it will go to the app.js and it is looking for nodes, and then for nodes, it will go to this nodes route. And from the nodes route, it will looking for add node. So if you just see the URL, it is entirely this. So it will look up this URL in this node route, and the method it is going to call what? It is post. The method it is going to call is post. So it is now post. Now it will go to something called body. So in body, it has the name and description. So in the body, it has something called name in the description, right? So it is picking name and description. I fill everything in an object. I fill everything in an object, and then I call CRUD and passing the object. That CRUD will be called, this CRUD will be called where it is here. It is called and it is talking to the model and adding the data and returning a promise. Make sense? So the promises get returned. Once it is get returned, the promise value we are taking where? In note routes. If the response is there, we are saying note added. Otherwise, we are saying this. So we are returning JSON. I hope everyone understands this thing. Any doubts, guys, in this? With this flow? Any doubts, guys? If this thing is okay, so I will move to the list part, because this is an add part. We need to create a list part as well as. One okay clear is coming. What about others, guys? All right. So this thing is clear. Now we are talking about something called list. It means if the list of records are coming, how we'll take care of it. So we have the note routes, which is also responsible for add. So we want something called list. So I will create route dot post. Same thing, right? So now because we are fetching the records, so we can use route dot get, right? So route dot get, and inside this you will say list, right? List I will create, and here inside it I will say request and response. I hope this makes sense, guys. So we have the route dot get because we are getting the record. That's why I'm using a word called get. And what we are getting all the records, right? So because we are getting all the records, so we are going to call something called note crud dot read. Read is the name of our method. And this read method is going to return what? It is going to return a promise. So it is going to return a promise. So inside the promise, you have all the data. So I will say promise dot then, and what you have the response. So whatever the response is coming, you actually send that response. So I will say response.json, send the response. Make sense? So whatever the response, res. Right?
Sir, screen is stuck.
Screen stuck. I don't know why this thing is happening. So for all of you, the screen is stuck, guys. Why? I don't know why this, because somehow the speed is correct. I restarted the machine. I restarted the router. Okay. All right, guys. So any point you miss when I'm writing this thing? I just repeat. I
repeat the last point.
Okay. I use the list, and list is a route, right? And node crud dot read. When I'm writing this node crud dot read, it is calling crud, right? And inside crud, it is calling the read, and read is doing what? It is doing the find, and curly bracket means find all the records, and pick only those keys that is a name and description. It picks names and description, and it return what? It return the promise. So promise I have. Now I get the promise. Inside the promise, there is a response. So whatever the response I have, so I just response.json, right? So it means I am sending the response.json. And from here, if the error is coming, so I will say catch error. And if error is coming, so I will say json.error. Makes sense? So I am sending right now the error or either the JSON. Right. So now it's time to again check this thing. Is this list is working or not? So you always know this thing. And I am trying to answer the same question because in the first half time, Bharatwaj is asking that the question that is, can I create an application which can work for the mobile and as well as for the web? Now this is what we are doing because why I'm testing with the Postman, because I want to check the JSON is correct or not. If the JSON is correct, so any technology can consume it. It means either it's a mobile app, either it is a desktop based app, either it is a web app, either it is an IoT based app. Anyone can consume it because I am consuming JSON and I am sending JSON, right? That's why I am saying what you are making right now. Please note it down. You are making a web APIs. You are making a RESTful web services, right? So if somebody says, can you write a web service? You are writing actually the web service. You are writing the web API. You're writing the RESTful APIs, right? So this is the way out to write it. And how to test this web API and things are working? You are testing it here by using Postman. That's why we are using a Postman. So it means you are ensuring your backend is working correctly or not, right? And here it is get, and then we do send, right? So it is saying something. Select only take one argument. So it means select says. It means the point is, guys, I think select says I will have note and description. So name and description. Right? So I done send. So here it is the outcome. Make sense, guys? Because I added one record, that's why the one record output is coming. If I added multiple, so multiple record output is coming. And if you need to make it note, it is returning what it is returning. It is returning the square bracket array. Where the screen is stuck, in the Postman or in the VS Code?
Sir, Postman.
Postman. Are you able to see the output or not? I mean the response you are able to see, guys?
Come late, sir. दोबारा repeat कर दो क्या बोला?
So I just click on the send button, right? And when I click on the send button, it is actually returning the JSON. And the JSON is coming in a square bracket. It means it is coming in an array. It is coming in an array, but it is not a form in a correct JSON because it must be in an object form. So I need to fill it in some object, right? So what we have, I have the object. That's a one object I have. So if I want to add another object, so I just copy this JSON. I copy this JSON, go to another tab. Sorry, copy the URL. I'm saying JSON. So I copy the URL and now I'm going to something called add node. Go to the post, go to the body section and pass name and the description, right? So this is again, I am adding it, right? So when I'm adding it, let's say watching, or I will say my task is IPL and I'm saying watching IPL, right? So this would be my note and I do send. So it is recording, it has added the record. So this is, you need to note it down. This is for the add note, right? And input of the add note is this name and description, right? Because it received the name and description. How you know it received the name and description? On note routes. In note route, you are able to see it is receiving name, it is receiving this description. So that's why I'm passing. It is receiving these two things. I hope this makes sense, guys. And node add successfully, it is showing. And if you want to test the list is working or not, so just click on send because no argument. So it means it is passing. I'm passing no arguments and it is giving what? It is giving the output. I hope everyone understand both of them is working. Add is working, list is working. We need to just integrate with a front end layer. We need to integrate with a front end layer. Any doubt, guys, in this? So we have created two services. Two services we have created on a backend. Now we need to tie up these two services with our front end layer. Any question, guys? Or shall I connect this thing? I hope everyone understand why the Postman is needed, how I am testing everything with the Postman. And when we are getting the output with the Postman, it means everything is working fine. Then you start coding for you connect with a front end layer. Right, so from a front end layer, just go back here and from front end stuff, I am here, and we are actually stopping the server right now, and I'm just move back to front end layer. Here I am in the front end layer. In the front end layer, I just go on first thing first. I just go on where in the utils in the config.js, right? So I am on where I am in this config.js, right? And here is the URL. Just see HTTP localhost 1234. And now this thing is same. And here you will specify add what? Add nodes and list, right? This is the beauty of this. It means I just make a change in the config file. Rest I would not take care because the URL is get changed. And now if I just go to the components, go to the to do, go to the add. Add is calling what? Add is calling the URL, right? It is calling the URL. So where is the URL? Yeah, here it is, add nodes. And add nodes is this one. So it is calling the backend. Makes sense, guys? So it is calling the backend. Backend is giving what? Backend is giving the data in form of JSON. So it will take some time to give the data. So it will return what? It will return a promise. So when I'm calling a backend, I will pass name and the description, right? So you need to note this down. In node routes, you are receiving what? You are receiving name and description. So this name and description must be match with this value, name and description, right? So I'm saying I am doing post, I am sending JSON, and when I'm sending everything, I will return a promise, right? So you will get a promise. Inside the promise, you will get a message. So if we see here, when we do add, when we do this add, so it is returning what? It is returning message. So it is returning a message. So now this code will be work, right? So it means whatever the message is coming, so this message will become. If the error is coming, so I will say this dot set state, and I will say message, and I will say error in add, right? Same sort of message, error in add. Makes sense, guys? Any questions in your mind? How this thing is working? Because in the first half we had done this React stuff, and now we create the backend stuff, and then we are integrating these two stuff, and both of them will work. So now, if you just see what we have done from the first half to till this, we have created a dashboard. We have the links. When we click on a link, we have the routing, client-side routing. When you click on the client-side routing, it load the component. When the component is loaded, we fill this by using ref and pick the value, make a call, go to the server. Server will send it to the Atlas. Atlas will save it, and it return the JSON. And if the JSON is returned, it fill it in a message, and the message is in the set state. And you know, whenever the set state is called, render is called, a render will say this is the message. So it will show this thing is added. Now you want to see if I added this here in the add, so list would be show this thing. So go to the list section. Go to the list section. List section is responsible to show the list. So the point is same. So it means it will do what? It will say load nodes, right? So I have a function called load nodes. Load node says const promise equals to fetch, right? In the fetch, what I need to pass? I need to pass the parameters, same like add. So I just go to the add, and these are the options I need to pass. So I just copy this, all these options, and I will say paste it. And here the changes, it is a get request. Application JSON it is. Body, nothing, because I am not passing anything. So body is empty. Make sense? So these things you have configured, and you need what? You need a URL. URL will be coming from constants dot and list nodes. And what you will pass? You will pass options. I hope everyone understand this thing. So I am doing the same stuff I done for the add. I'm doing the same stuff for the list. And then I will say promise dot then what I will get? I will get response, right? Whatever the response will come, I will say response dot JSON, right? And it contain what? It contain the data. Now the point is when we are calling it, it is sending what? It is sending It is sending what? It is not sending the object. It is sending the array. That is a problem. So JSON must be in key value pair. It is not in a key value pair. So guys, you need to make the change in a code. You need to just go to this place, that is node routes, and here in the list part, you have the response, right? And inside this response, you need to write it in this form. It must be like data and then the response, right? And it is like error and if any error, right? Now it is like a JSON because it's a key value pair. That's why I did this thing, because response is coming as an array. Array is not a JSON. So I need to first put it in a key value form, then I send it. So it is get converted into the JSON, right? Easily it is get converted into the JSON. Make sense? So it is an array. So that's why I just wrap the entire array inside the key value pair. Now I send it. So it means all the array elements is stored where? In the data, right? So it is stored in the data. So I know it is stored in data. So it has this response, right? So I will say it's a data. So it means data.data, because there I use the same thing. There I use something called data, right? So if I'm not using data here, I use something called result. So I will use data.results. Make sense? So I hope everyone understands this thing. So data.result contain the array. So this is the important point, guys. So I will say data.result contain the array, right? So if the array is coming, so it means I have what? I have the array of nodes, array of nodes. So can I say I want to print this? So I will say here nodes, and by default nodes are empty. No nodes are there. If nodes are coming, so it means if nodes are there, so I will say this dot set state, and here I will say nodes and what else? Array. So I fill this. So by default nodes are empty. When the nodes are coming up, it is get filled, right? If it is giving some error, let's say if the JSON is not working, so it will give an error. So it is giving an error. So we'll use this dot set state, and we'll use something called this, and I will say error. Makes sense? And same it here, dot catch. If it is present here, so there would be again an error. So I will do this thing, right? So now we know the data will become, and it is coming through calling this load nodes. When you call this load nodes, the data will become. So load nodes will be get called when the component is mount on the screen. You know, this is a lifecycle method, component did mount. When this will be called, I will call this dot load nodes. That's it. Right. So Dhruv, what you have missed during the lagging? Which portion?
सर लोड नोट्स, तो सर बीच में भी हो रहा है सर स्किप.
अब कुछ कर नहीं सकते, थोड़ा बहुत बियर कर सकते हैं हम लोग. मैं रिपीट कर देता हूँ, है ना? तो लोड नोट्स जो है हमारे पास, दिस लोड नोट्स व्हेन वी आर यूजिंग, it contains something called fetch. So it is primarily same like your add. So when we are using fetch, we specify something called list nodes URL. So this is a URL, and I pass the options. In the options, when we're using an options contain, it's a course request. Course, you know, it's a cross origin request, and it is a method get, because we are getting the data. And what kind of data we are getting? It's a JSON. So that's why we're using this thing, and it is returning what? Promise. Now it's an old code, promise.then we are getting response, and response.json we have the data. Data.result is actually giving the result. It means the result is this one, this key, right? So when you use response.json and you're passing results and the response, or whatever the response is coming from the backend, you put it everything in a result key. So that's why you're accessing something called result. So it means you have the result. So when you have the result, so result is get stored where? It means the result is stored in nodes. So in nodes, what you have the result. Now it's time to print the result. So it means we are now it's a much more important stuff will become, because in the T body we are going to print it, because by default it is not showing any result. So this result will be coming up and it is going to be print. So we need to render new rows. It means if the and from the backend, if 5 nodes are there, so 5 new rows will be get created. If 10 rows are coming, so 10 new rows will be get created, right? So how we can render this thing, because we already fill everything in where in the state, right? So in the state we have something called nodes, and if we have the nodes, so we'll print this thing. So the first thing first, we need to write something, guys, here. That is, if the nodes are there, then print it. Otherwise, do not print it. It means just show. If the nodes is blank, so show something else. If nodes are not blank, then show something else, right? So it would be like this. So I will say from here I will say if this dot state dot nodes dot length is equals to 0. And why I'm writing this thing, because I know by default your nodes is empty, right? By default your nodes is empty. If the nodes is blank, it does not have anything. So it means if the nodes is blank, so I will check if the nodes length is equals to 0. So you will prepare a JSX. So I will say prepare a JSX here, that is blank JSX, right? And here I will say JSX equals to, and here I will say h1 no nodes found. I mean there is no nodes, right? So it will say this thing. Else, if it is not, it means it has something. It means length is greater, so it means it has something. If it has something, so it means all the nodes. So I will write this dot state dot nodes, and you know this is the method we have already used called map. So I use something called map, and it is giving what? It is giving 1 by 1 node. I hope, guys, this thing is clear. If the state dot nodes dot length is equals to 0, so it means it's a blank nodes. So I will say no nodes found. If it is not, so I just go to the else condition, and else condition I'm saying this dot state dot nodes dot map. It means I'm saying if the nodes is present, so just fetch it. So it means just traverse it 1 by 1. So it means it is giving a 1 by 1 object. So I have the node. So I need to print the node. That's a point. So if I want to print the node, so the node would be get printed inside something called T body, right? So inside the T body, it will be get printed. So I will say you must return something called, you must return a JSX, and that JSX must return TD, right? It must return TD. So if you just see here in TR, there is something called TD. So I will say first TR, and this TR contains something called TD. TR, you know, that's a table row, and now we have the table data. Inside table data, what you have something called note dot name, right? And then again you will write the same stuff. So here I will say TD, and then TD, and I will say note dot description. So name is coming, notes, I mean the name of the note and the description of the note is coming. Both of them are coming, right? So this is a part of your else, and everything will be get stored in JSX. So JSX is a variable which either hold there is no note, or either it has many nodes. If it has many, so what I will do, go to the T body section. I create this fragment, right? Inside this fragment, I will write JSX. So I create a blank fragment, and then I write JSX. So either it has the nodes or either it does not have the nodes. I hope, guys, this thing is clear. Any doubts in this? So please raise. Why I write this if else? Because I know first time when it is loading the records, there would not be any note, right? So it will show no notes. Suppose end user is clicking on the list and the end user not created any note. So it will show this thing. And when there is a note, so it will show this thing, else condition, right? And whatever the notes you have, I traverse it by using a map, and whatever I have, I will just print it by using JSX. So we need to check this out because it need to show both of the things. So first thing first, I need to just start the backend. Backend, you know how to start. Just go to CD and go to the web. So we are in the web, right? So npm start, I need to just write because we are already in the web. So from here, once it is get started, just click on plus, and from here, just start the front end. So front end is CD front end layer, and from here I will say npm start. Here is the front end. So from here, I just click on the login, Tim123 login, right? Click on the list. So right now it is saying no notes found. So it is saying no notes found. Why it is saying? Just we need to first check this out. Why it is saying this thing? But we are asking, please explain after TR TD. TR contain TD, right? TR contain TD, not after, because if you just see TR contain TD, so if you want to see in this manner, so it is like this, right? So it means inside your TR you have this TD. Now the challenge is, guys, because component did mount is done, load nodes is done. And when the load nodes is done, so we need to just find out console.log. So we need to first find out is the data is coming in a correct format or not. So console.log data is comma data. This we need to print first because it is saying no record found, right? No nodes. I hope, Bhavya, I answered your question about the TR and TD. I hope you understand.
I am asking सर आई एम आस्किंग कि जो टीआर टीडी के बाद आपने कहीं कुछ कॉल किया है तो वो क्या था वो आई मिस दैट
टीआर टीडी के बाद कुछ कॉल किया है व्हिच वन दिस वन यू आर सेइंग
अच्छा वो टी बॉडी में कर रहा है
in T body I use JSX or JSX has whatever the value, it will just fit that value and then it will show us. Right.
Sir. Okay, sir.
So the point is, guys, right now it is not showing. So we need to find out that why it is not showing the data. So just do login. First of all, Tim123 login and do right click and inspect, right? And from here, just check the console. Is there any error? So it is saying the warning. Warning is correct. Warning. I know why it is. Response we will check. Response having the object. This object we have, but the problem is, it is not calling this particular method. I think so. Because it is not showing data is. So let's check this out. Data is there or not? Data is. No, data is not printing. So the point is, we have something called component did mount. From here we call this dot load node, so it will be here. And from here we done this. So might be there is some error. So how we can check this out? Is there error or not? So just type console.log error in JSON. So we'll say error, and I do copy, paste error in call, right? So I will type these two lines. So at least we identify why this error is coming. So Tim and 123 and do login. So it is saying error in JSON, right? So it is saying error in JSON. It means the JSON is not in a correct format. It means whatever the data is coming, it is not expected by this, right? So why it is saying error in JSON, we need to find out the reason. So how we can find out the reason, guys? We just check response.json result, and then I use response. Makes sense? So just try this out first of all here, right? So I do send. So it has this key and it has the value. I hope this makes sense. So I just do copy this thing and I do here. I just go here and I say validate JSON. So first I validate the JSON because it is saying it's an invalid. So we have this key and validate the JSON. But it is saying valid JSON. So the JSON is valid for us and it is saying something. Because the error here, the error is coming. Okay, I think the error is coming. Expected list.js line number 36. All right. So I think I got the reason. The reason is because when I do list.js, I have this error, so I just put it like this, right? Might be it is coming empty or something else, not like this, not in this, not here, in here, in this place, in this list, but I put it in error and then error. I think my JSON is correct because I am sending this JSON promise.then. Then it is on the list side, and in list side it get what? Okay, response and then data. Okay, so it would not go here. It is saying error in JSON, but JSON is correct because in the backend it is not showing the error. Here it is showing unexpected token in JSON at position 0. And so one more thing I want to judge, guys. I want to judge what is coming in the console.log. Right. So I'm writing here responses. Let's check this out, because this is basically a hand checking problem. So response is here. So response is coming. So in response side, I don't feel any error because it is saying 200. It is saying okay. So one more thing I will do. I will omit this header, and it is method get. Now let's try, because on the backend side I don't think so any problem. One more thing I want to highlight is when I am sending a response from this place, I am passing in options. Okay, if I'm not pass any options, and if I try this thing, still the problem is. But JSON is, I don't think so. JSON is coming wrong. Otherwise, it will show the wrong JSON here. JSON is correct. It has the results as a key. So the problem I am facing is here when I'm writing response.json, because it is giving an error. So it means it is not according to this format. So what I will do is I just go to the backend side, and from here in the list side I have the response, and I will say response.set, and from this set I will pass content type. So I need to verify. I think this is just a handshaking problem because our JSON is correct, but a client not able to understand that JSON. That is the problem. So that's why I'm using this. So I just make sure I write this in a correct way or not. So I will say response dot set in express application /JSON. So here we specify application/JSON. Just a minute, because anyway I'm passing the JSON, but I just want to know when I'm passing the JSON. So I use set. That's why I'm just checking as I'm setting the correct header. So I will use this one instead of this one, right? So this is just for telling the client I am sending a JSON, please receive it. It is not receiving it actually. So let's check this out again. Because in the backend side it is sending the JSON. Otherwise it will generate an error. It was sending the JSON, so that's why I am checking on the front end side only. Still it is not showing. Response type course. Just a minute, guys. I just copy this thing and I am saying it is on response.json in fetch. So our server is sending the response. Just a bit. This is not. This is header. I have sent it. Okay. Because my server is sending a response.json and I am passing this key and then the value. So it will be converted into the JSON, and I think it is converted into the JSON. And when I copy this JSON to validate JSON, very minor mistake is actually, that's why we are because every setting we have done only, it's a very minor one, that's why it is not pick up. So valid JSON it is. So JSON is valid from the server side, and from the client side list.js. So we have this data dot result here. Here is the issue when I'm saying response.json data. And here I'm not passing any. So here I'm not passing any object. All right. So I just check list. URL is correct. I think URL is my URL. I'm just verifying everything. Notes/list. So was anyway the notes/list. It is list, no? Student. So in list, I think in list. Just a minute, guys. I think I have to copy this URL first of all. I think the problem is with the URL, right? So when I'm saying list notes URL, so it would be notes/list, guys, right? Because I just changed it this URL. That's why it is giving what it is giving value from the wrong URL, right? So that's why it is notes/list, and as well as it is notes/add notes, right? That's why it means response.json is intelligent. It identify it is coming from the wrong place. That's why it is giving. So that's why from here everything is working fine, right? But on the front end layer it is. So because we just change this thing and add notes, and so we need this path, right? Also you are also correct. It's a URL, right? So move back to this. That's why I'm saying very small mistake. That's why we are not able to identify it. So because small errors will take time actually, because as a developer you check all the major things always. So from here just go to this localhost 1234 here, Tim, login it. Still it is, why is saying okay? Now the response we have, but it is not saying anything, right? So now the issue is something else. So now we have the response at least, and the response we need to print it out. So the response we have note/list. So it is, we are on the list and it will go in a note/list, and this note/list will show. So it has the response, right? So status, everything is coming fine, but the point is in a list I just save it because it is not saved, because I done some changes but I have not saved it, right? So I just saved it, these changes, and the response will become and the data will become. So I just highlight this data, either the error will become, so I highlight the error as well as on console.log. Makes sense? So now we will figure it out. Where is the problem? So Tim 123 login, no notes found. All right, but response is there. What else? All right, no issues. But where is my message? My message is not there. Console.data. This message is not coming, guys. This message must become, or either the cache must become. So what we will do, I think the page is get cache might be. So just move to the incognito view, go to this section, login it. Because message is not printing, it means browser cached something. Browser has done some caching, right? So just go to the list section. Okay, Sunidhi is saying because on the coding time I've removed the options. Okay, where is fetch? Yes, I removed the options. I specify the options again. Options because it is required because it's a course request, right? So I added this options as well as go to the Tim 123 and just do right click and inspect. Response तो आ रहा है लेकिन but the response does not, but response after this response it is never go to this section, not this place, not this place, and this is a strange behavior. So if the response is there, so it has to be go in this response.json, right? That's that's why a table has 3 columns, and that would become later on. But the point is, it has to, because response is there. Now it has to move to this place. Now response is coming up, but response dot okay. I wrongly then is missing, right? So response dot json dot then, right? Because I just copy this thing. So response dot json dot then the then will work. So that's why it is not printing the then part. So previously it is giving an error. So we have concentrated on the error. So here it is, right? Now response is there, response dot json, and JSON is having a bracket also, no? Because it's a function. So response dot json dot then tim 123. Right now it is showing watching movie IPL, right? And ID we do not have, right? So we can take care of the ID as well, as because it has underscore ID. So we can show the underscore ID as well as. So where the screen is stuck, guys?
Sir, when you perform the changes.
Okay, when I done this changes, okay, I just show you response.json bracket, I done, right? And then I done. Is this clear? So I done response.json bracket dot then the data will be coming, right? This is the only change I have done. So in just a quick manner, I just write without then, right? So that's why the promise is not working, because this is the promise. It is also returning a promise, because it is returning a promise. So you can treat it like const p equals to response.json. This is, and then you can write even p dot then. This is also okay, right? And whatever the data is coming, it is stored where? In the data, because it is stored in the data. So you can write td, and then you can write, because you have the note, that is the first thing, right? And the second thing, you can specify the index. So from here you can write index as well as. Makes sense? So if you write index, the output would be like the output. Where is the output? So just go here, tim 123 login. It is like this 0 1. So we want index plus 1. So if we just check this out, login tim 123 login, it is like this. Makes sense? And this red is coming. We will figure it out why this red is coming. I hope everyone understands this thing. Guys, any question on this? I use index because I want to print 1 2 3 as well as. So that's why I use index. But index start with 0, so I use index plus 1. And map has the first argument as an object and second argument as an index. Is this clear? Or I should repeat this thing? Okay, I show output screen. This is the output screen. What point you have missed, Prapti? What is the point you have missed? Output. Okay, output is, I open the output window. I hope all of you are able to see the output window. Repeat the map thing. Map is basically, if you want to understand the map, just go to the about blank section. Right click and inspect it. Go to the console section. Map is like, we have this array, for example, this, an array dot map. When you use, so map has something called first element, and you are saying console dot log. Let's say I've just for all of you to understand, I've used console dot log and ele just to understand this thing. So you will see 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. Undefined is because we have not written anything. So we need to return it, right? That's why it would not be undefined, because map return the same size of array. So when this EL is coming, so 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 is coming. So if I use here the thing called index here, if I use the thing called index, so I will use ELE comma index. So you're able to see it is giving 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So if I use index plus 1, so it will give you 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I hope, Chetan, this thing is clear. How the map is working. Right, so the same stuff I have used here, because I need an index, so I use index, and then I do index plus 1, and in notes I have this name and description, so I printed this thing. Any other doubt, guys? So it means our add screen and list screen both are working. So from this add screen, and it is giving some unique key, you know, when we do this map, so we are actually creating TR many times. So it wants a unique TR. So there is a thing called key, and in this key, if you put index, so index are unique. So it would not generate that error which is coming in the red line. So if I run, right? So there's a warning for unmounted phase that is not required at all, but that unique warning is gone. So now your record are get printed. So for example, if you go to add notes and you're adding a new notes, right? So let's say I add ABCD and the note value is XYZ, and I click on add note. It is saying some error in note. Why it is saying error in note? I think I have done some changes now. So in the add.js, I have this add notes URL. And this is the URL, right? The notes slash, I just check this out. I think either I missed some URL, because if it is giving an error, so we can find out by right click inspect. If I printed the error, no. So first thing first, guys, we need to verify the URL, right? So our URL name is note/add note. I think I use notes, so it would be add note, right? These are some integration issues. So just move back to your output window where you're testing. Just go to login. Tim 123 login. Here we have write ABCD XYZ, add notes, note edit successfully. Then I add some other note TTT with some sort of value, add note, right? So the same message is there. So if I click on list notes, it's showing this. Why it is showing in starting, it's showing no notes, because it is fetching from the server. Make sense, guys? I hope everyone understand how the notes are added here, and then how the notes is visible on the list screen. Any doubts? So please ask your questions, because we read and write through React, Node, Express, Mongo, Atlas, everything is get mixed in a one place. And this is whole soul the MERN based project. And somehow we know how to create a dashboard, but there are some other things which is pending. We need to add more on this. But my belief is, if you know add and list, so all of you are able to create the search and delete, right? Because it's a repetitive task for me. So that's why I just want to put this thing, search notes and delete notes, try with yourself. It means it's primarily same. Only the thing is, if you know the list, so the search is quite similar. You need to only pass the parameter on find, right? On delete, there is a predefined method called remove. So you need to just call the remove method in a backend side, it will remove it. So it is quite similar like a find. So first find it and then remove it, right? So that's why I'm saying, if you have any questions, so please raise your questions, raise your doubts, because somehow you are doing the same stuff in your internship, the same stuff in your job, right? So you have the deep love of your with the coding. It is really important. It means when I am doing the coding, you must enjoy the things. That is essentially required. You want to become a coder. That's a primary thing. Right, this thing is clear? So login token, if you want to find out the login token, so we need to use something called JWT, right? So if you want a JWT stuff, JWT is basically for the token management. So the thing is, if you log in successfully one time, so server responsibility is to generate a token. So we will use a word called JWT, JSON Web Token. This is very much in demand in the market, JWT. So JWT is a module. So we'll use this JWT module. It will generate a token. That token will send it to the login, right? Once the login is successfully. Once we have the token, so we will directly reach to the we'll directly reach to the dashboard. So this the logic we will add. If we have not done sign out, it will always move to the dashboard, right? But it must have the valid token. So we need to how to generate a token. We need to understand this thing, how to generate a token and how we can use this thing. Any doubt, guys, in this? So this is we need to incorporate it in our code, that is called JWT, JSON Web Token, and that's a third-party library we need to add. I hope everyone understands this thing. So how we can integrate this thing in our application, we'll see. So we need something called JWT. So just go to this place, npm JWT. This you need to write, JSON Web Token, right? And this token has facility. It can work with either mobile apps. You can use it with anything. So we need to use this JSON token first of all. I hope everyone understand why we need this JSON token. So first thing first, just go here and install JSON Web Token and go to your terminal window. Right, stop the server because your server is running. So node 1 is for your server. So just Control C, clear it, and paste this thing.
Screen is stuck.
Okay, I will repeat. I hope everyone see JSON Web Token, right? From where you need this JSON Web Token, right? And when I do npm install JSON Web Token, so it will be installed this thing. Chetan is asking, in token, can we do page refresh after some time so that it destroy the token after some time of inactivity? Chetan, we are actually not taking charge of client side things. We will do the expiration of the token on the server side, right? So on the server side, we will expire the token, right? So if your request is not coming from last 1 hour, so I will expire a token from the server. So there is no need to refresh the token. So it means if after 1 hour user click on any link because the token is expired, so it would not work. I hope you understand. So it means your session is expired indirectly. If the session is expired, it will go to the login page. Makes sense? So that's why on the server side, we will do this thing. Because if it is on the client side, so client can do anything. Because client side is on your machine. So that's why we don't want to put this kind of codes. The token handling code on a client side, we want to put it on server side, right? So just go here, guys, and from util side, not from the front end side, from the back end side, right? Go for a web app, that's your back end side. From the back end, go to the utils, right? And from the utils, like we have created encrypted, we created something called token.js. That is for the token handling. So I will say const JWT require JSON Web Token. So we have something called JSON Web Token. And from this JSON Web Token, we will generate a token, right? So we'll generate a token. So I just want to share some notes because so many of them is asking. So I'm recommending, I have the blog. From there you can go for read a notes because so many asking how to learn the Mongo command. So I have a blog already there. So it has everything which we have done from the Mongo, right? So you can read the Mongo blogs from there, right? And even because JWT is a bigger section, so we are touching this section. So there is a blog for JWT as well. So if you just go in the blog section, there is a blog with Gmail, right? Because Gmail is also generating this token. So how you can handle it. And because some of them is asking about the absolute and relative positioning. So there is a blog for CSS positioning. So it covers all the positioning system. So you can refer those blogs in future, right? It is just, if you learn Mongo thing from Mongo blogs is there, CSS blogs are there, and JWT you are right now you're doing. So this JWT is actually with your user ID and password credential. But if you want to integrate with something called login with Gmail, so I have written an entire blog for this. It contains a lot of steps. So you need to register on Gmail APIs, and then you can access that Gmail APIs with your application. So it means it would be like login with Gmail kind of options, right? So from there, you can learn those blocks. So that's why I'm recommending you can learn these kind of blocks. So it has every detail, right? So it has every detail with a screenshot details, with the output details. It means the code and the output, both of them are placed in this place, right? So if you're stuck with some CSS3 place, or you're stuck with some positioning thing, so CSS blogs are there. If you're stuck with Mongo, so these are like a notes. So it's a notes which will be work for your MERN technology stuff, right? So from the token, like you're using a token, so token notes is also there, right? So this will help you once the training is over, so you can learn it from there. Now the point is, if you're creating a token, because you're using something called JWT, so you have something called creating a token. So there's a method you will create token, right? So this will generate a token first time, but next time, because once a token is get generated, so there is a function we will use, verify a token. So I create this thing, and I created like in this way. If you are on a new project, you will use my code, right? I create a project in this way. If you are in a new project, you can use my code, right? So there is no need to on every project you will create this codes, right? So because I created in a module way. So this is a token module now. So I do create token, and now you are going to create a token. So for example, you want to create a token based on your user ID, because it generated a token. Now the token is generated with based on your user ID. For example, my name Amit. So Amit with some token keys, it will mix up and then generate it. So to generate a token, it is good practice. You will generate a secret key. So you will create a secret key, and I am saying this is a secret key, right? So this would be a secret key which will help us to generate a token. So the point is, if I write this is a secret key, it must be alphanumeric kind of feature. So when it generates a unique token, so it makes this is a secret key with user ID with some token logic. So your website token is entirely different from other developer who is using the same Express and Node thing. So your token never be conflicted with other developers, because you have a different secret key, right? So now you have a token. So how you generate it? You will write JWT, and then there is a predefined method called sign, right? And in this sign, you will specify. It means you are signing a token because you are generating a token. So you need something called payload, and here you will specify user ID key, and the value is user ID. So it means you are generating this, and after this you will mix up with a secret key. So I mix up with a secret key, and after this there is an object we will specify expires. Even I have done with the documentation of this, that's why I know this, and the expiry time. So let's say I'm saying my token will be get expire on the server side if your client is inactive from last 1 hour. Make sense? If your user is inactive from last 1 hour, so I can specify as a 1 hour. You can have M option for a minutes. You have D option, 1D, it's a 1 day. So it's all up to your application. It means what would be the validity of your token, right? So you specify the token validity, and this will generate a token. That's it. Generate a token, right? So I will say it's a my token. So your token is get generated, and here it is going to return it. So it's a very big number. It is actually generated, right? So much bigger number is get generated, and if the token is already there, So you can verify your token. So you will pass your token ID, and this would be get verified by a method called JWT verify token. So there is a predefined method. So it's a JWT dot verify token. So through this method you can verify your token. So just pass your token ID. Just pass your token ID and mix up with your secret. Right? So it will mix up with your secret key, and then it will decode the token. So it will decode the token. So I will say let decoded token. So it's a decoded token. So now it has a decoded token. If the token is well decoded, if it is well decoded, so it means you actually verified it. So it means I put if decoded token is not null, and decoded token has, because we store what? We store user ID, and if it has the user ID inside it, so it is decoded. If it is decoded, so I will say I return true. Otherwise, if it is not decoded, I will return false. So through this way, I can identify the token is decoded or not. Makes sense. So this is the way out, or even I can check this thing on front end side as well as. So I will do one thing. I will say if this is decoded with this user ID, so I will say return true. So it means verified is a key for me, and I want to store something called user ID here. Make sense? So I will store the user ID, user ID coming from this decoded. So I will say decoded dot user ID. So at least I will say hello, welcome back. It's like this. So verified is false in this case, and when the verified is false user ID is nothing. So user ID is empty. So that key would not be get present. So now we have this token mechanism. I hope everyone understands this. This is a token mechanism. Now, where you are going to put this token mechanism, you are going to put this token mechanism on every call. That is important point. It is used on every call after login. Once you are logged in successfully, after this, you need to check, do you have the token? If you have the token, then move ahead. If you do not have the token, if your verification is false, right? So just move back to your login page or something else, right? So what I will do, I will just go back to the app.js, because I need to do it for every place. I mean notes or order or everywhere I need to. So I'm just keeping in mind, after this app.use, you can have multiple app.use, right? If you have multiple app.use, it must be get verified. So to just verify your token, I will say app.use, right? I create my own middleware. So I will say request response next, and here I just specify, and from this place I will fetch the token first of all. So I will fetch the token. If this token is are you sending a token? So if you are sending a token, so that token would be coming in this request.token. So keep in mind, client will send a token. So if the token is already generated, the token is sent it by a client. Once you have the token, you need to verify that token. So I will say const, and from this place I will verify the token. If the token is verified, then it is correct. If it is not, so it would not allow. So I will say this whole verification is before notes, because for notes I want to verify a token. So I will put this code and I will say call the token. So I will say t require, and from here I will say utils, go to the util section, and from the util section go to a token section. So I'm in the token section, and in the token there is a method called verify token. In the verify token I will pass the token, and it will get verified, and it returns something. So it return an object. If this object is correct, if this object is verified, right? If it is verified and this object contains user ID, both of them, so it is verified. If it is verified, so I will say next. Next means go to the nodes route. Next means go to the node route. If it is not verified, I will say else. If it is not verified, so I will say response.json, and I will send some status of failure. So I will say token, right? Token, and I will say false. So I return this thing, plus I will return some code, failure code 401. 401 means you are not authorized. So if you are not authorized, you are not able to access it. Makes sense? So it means I am sending a token from a client. client will receive it on line number 11 and it is verified. Once it is verified, so it will say go to the next. Go to the next means go to the node routes. Node routes will take care of it. If it not, so I will just send it back. I will send it 401. So if client is receiving 401, so it know the token is not verified. I hope everyone understand this point. So this is a common verification code. So it means after line number 22, if you are going to create so many routes, you do not take care of the token thing. So it means when you join some company, your senior has actually done this kind of stuff. Already they have created this kind of middlewares. So they have created their own middlewares, and that middleware will take care of everything. So you are actually calling, you are not handing any token. So it means most of them fresher don't know how the token is going on in the application, because the senior guy has actually created this kind of token thing. So they are only concentrated on the routes. So this code is intelligent. It will first check. If it is right, then it will go to the next. So line number 16 is important. It will go to the next thing. Next is it will go to the 22. If it is not, so line number 19 will be called. 19 will send the response. It will be quit back, and it will quit back, and it will be back on the front end side. Now on the front end side, like I am on the dashboard. I'm moving to what? I'm moving to the dashboard, right? In the dashboard screen, either this dashboard screen will be visible or not for me. So I need to verify this thing. So to verify this everything stuff, I just go back to the front end layer. I hope back end layer is clear to everyone. How to generate a token and how to do a common token handling. This is what we have done. But on the front end side, we need to write some code. Like when I'm doing a login, the token is get generated immediately, right? Because when I'm doing a login, the token is get generated. So it means from here, if we just see, it is talking to this React login stuff, right? So it is talking to the React login stuff. So when it is talking to the React login stuff, it will be on the backend side. In the backend side, I have something called user route, right? We have something called user route. In the user route, when the login is happen, how from here? If your login is successful here, your login is successful. So that moment of time, you need to generate a token. Immediately, you need to generate a token, and you need to pass the token, right? So it means once you generate a token, you need to pass it, and the client will store that token. So how this will happen? Just see const token. So because token I will use multiple times, so why not I put it here, token require, and then dot slash go to the utils. From the utils, go to the token. So I am here and I am calling a token because you are logged in successfully. So generate a token. So create a token. So when I'm creating a token, I have this user ID. So this is the user ID. So I pass my user ID. Right. Chetan is asking, please tell 401. So 401 is basically you have unauthorized access. So if you just go here and just type 401 and status code, right? Just type this thing because it's an HTTP errors. So it does not have any belonging with Node or Express. It is just a standard one. So 401 says you are unauthorized. So if you do not have a token, what I will say? I will say you are a 401. If you are asking for some file and that file is not there, so I will say 404. Makes sense. So if you want to remember these codes, so the best part is remember in this way. So just go to this official website. There is a status code definition, and that status code definition says if your status code is under the 100, so it means the request is doing. Once the request is done, so it is between 200 to 300. So it means it's a successful result. 300 to 400 is become redirections. 400 to 500 are resources are not found. I mean 499 I will say. Here I will say 399, right? That is the correct word. Here I will say 299. So when I'm saying 400 to 499, it is means resource are not found. 404 resource not found. 401 you are unauthorized. So it is you are not authorized found, right? So that's why 400 to 499 is something not found. Either resource not found, either you are unauthorized. So it means you are not authorized found, right? When there is some 500 to 519, so it means there is a bug in your code. That's why it's a server crash errors. So these are the list which is actually created by the HTTP. So as a developer, you need to know this list. This is something for the HTTP protocol. I hope Chetan, you understand this thing. So these are the list of the codes, right? So I use the code number here. So that's why I'm saying if it is 401 on my client side, so I will check and I will say you are not authorized, so you cannot see the dashboard. So if you are login and you are login correctly, so I will generate a token. So create token will generate a token, and that token I have. So in T I have the token, and in this response.json I have the data. So I will say I will pass data, right? So I'll pass data plus I have something called token. So I will pass token, and token is where? In the T. So that's why I just done these changes. I hope everyone understand this thing. So I done this changes. So it means when I do login successfully, it will generate a token. It will generate a token, and the token will be I have. So you can verify this thing. You can verify this thing by just go to the Postman. In this Postman, just type localhost 1234, and your URL name is what? Your URL name is React login. React login, right? And body, and just type user ID. User ID is what? Tim. Password what? It is receiving PWD. So if everything is perfect, it will do login and generate a token. So let's see. Okay, it is giving no response because server is down. So let's start a server because we install, and that's why we download the server. Server is get started, send it. Here it is. It is saying data. Perfect. Token. Perfect. Makes sense. Now you have the token. Now because you have the token, you have something called data. Inside that you have again the data, and inside that data message plus you have the token. I hope everyone understand this thing. So not to confuse you, I will make it result. So otherwise data.data you will confuse it because inside the result. So if I just send it, so inside the result you have this message plus you have the token. Now all of this stuff will be go to the front end layer. It will go to the front end layer. So we need to change something on the front end layer. In the front end layer, if you just check this out, login.js. If you just check this out, that is the login.js, and from the login.js, you will get a response here. You will get the data. Inside the data, now the picture is changed. If you just see inside the data, you have something called result. Right, data.result and data.result. Makes sense. Data.result, and because you are successfully login, so it ensure you just store the thing in a local storage. Your browser has a memory called local storage. There you can store the token. So I will say local storage.token, data.token. Makes sense. So I'm saying store the token. So yeah, your token, it means once you logged in successfully, you have the token. If you have the token, think about it. If you have the token, so from your to-do place, because from the to-do place, I have the decision of dashboard, right? I have the decision of the dashboard. Either I show you this thing, this login option or not. Either I show you this login option or not is entirely based on a condition. Do you have the token? This is the condition. Do you have the token? If you have the token, I will show you this login and registration option, right? Otherwise, I would not show you. So from here, I will say I will not show you this thing. This entire stuff. So this entire stuff would be get dynamic, right? This entire stuff would be get dynamic. So you know how to make it dynamic. So I will just check. Do you have token? So I create a special method called do you have token. So if you have token, the answer is if local storage dot token, because I stored the token here. If you have the token, so you are welcome to see the dashboard. You're welcome to see the dashboard. If you do not have the token, you're not. So I will say return. I will say return, and then I will say dashboard. You're able to see the dashboard, right? So this is how. So you're able to see the dashboard. If this condition is matched, if not, you do not have the token. Because you do not have the token, so you need to see something called login. So you need to see something called login, this is your login code, guys. This portion of code, right? This portion of code is your login code. So I just cut down this code. I just put this code in const JSX, and I just put this bracket and paste it here, and I just wrap it in this. Makes sense? So this is what I have done. I just check, do you have the token? If yes, answer is yes. So I will say, go to the dashboard. If no, answer is no. So I'm saying, this is the JSX, show this JSX. Now, the intelligence of this method is, it will say, do you have this JSX? It is ended up here and return the JSX. So I'm returning the JSX, and I will call this method immediately. I will call this method here immediately. I will say, do you want to show what? Do you want to show? So because we have already done some JSX stuff also, right? We have already done this JSX stuff also. So this JSX stuff is dependent on either we show this dashboard or not, right? So the only problem I'm just facing is if the result, if this dot state is result is this dashboard, so it will show this. Either it will show this JSX. So it means I need to show. I think I need to show login registration. So status is 1. So I will show this. Status is 2. I will show this. Otherwise, I directly show this. Right. So from here, I think I need to, because I have 2 dynamic JSX. So I will call, do you have token? So if this have this, do you have the token? So if I call, do you have the token? So if you, do you have the token? So this will be called, either it call dashboard or either it show this thing, right? So it will show login or this button, right? And if this button is appear, based on it, it will show this JSX stuff. Makes sense? So this do you have token will be call, and then the JSX will be appear. And if we test this thing on the front end side, so just check, is this the front end side is running? Yes, it is running, but it has failed somewhere. I think do you have the token is not defined. Correct, absolutely correct, because it is this dot do you have token. Now no error. I hope everyone able to connect it. We generate the token on a server side. We call the login, it will give a token to us, right? So this is purely what I'm doing is purely coding I'm doing, right? So it means the token is there. I send it a token. The token is send it to the client. Client stored in a local storage. Now I'm asking, do you have the token? Do you have the token? So I'm saying, if you have the token, go back to the dashboard. So Bhavya, if you're asking this thing, you need to check the Gmail first, right? So if you just check that Gmail. My question, Bhavya, to you, if I type gmail.com, what will happen? Tell me. What Gmail does when you type gmail.com? Is it open inbox or it will ask for user ID password? Tell me.
ईमेल में जो डिफॉल्ट इनबॉक्स होगा वो खोलेगा.
क्यों? माय क्वेश्चन इज व्हाई. क्यों खोल देगा? और कभी नहीं खोलता. ऐसा भी तो होता है ना, कभी नहीं खोलता है, कभी खोल देता है.
लॉगिन करना पड़ता है फिर तो.
हाँ, बट हाउ इट डिसाइड कि आई विल ओपन इनबॉक्स और आइदर आई विल आस्क फॉर अ यूजर आईडी पासवर्ड. अच्छा, आप अपनी मशीन में करते हो तो इट विल ओपन ना इनबॉक्स ना, बट अगर आप दूसरे की मशीन पे जाके करोगे तो क्या करेगा? It will ask, या एक नई फ्रेश मशीन उठाओ.
Yes sir.
How it identify? It actually store a token. So if it has a token, so it will redirect you to inbox. Inbox is what? Inbox is a dashboard. It is a dashboard of your mail. That's why you're able to see the mail. Same thing I am doing it. If I am already logged in, so I have the token. If I have the token, so do not ask for login again. Just show me the dashboard. समझ में आ रही है सब बात? If I do not have token, so it means I have not logged in. If I'm not logged in, so ask for login. So Gmail done this kind of code. the first check, do you have the token? If you have the token, so it means you have already logged in. So it will show you a Gmail thing. If you are not, so it will say just logged in. This is how the logic. So that's why I have the method. Do you have token? So this will call. So it's saying, okay, do you have the token? Okay, all right, you have the token. So just go to the dashboard. If not, just show the login or register option. Make sense? Is this clear?
इसलिए curly bracket में call कर रहे हैं.
इसलिए we are calling in a curly bracket because it's a dynamic thing ना. Because when you are in JSX, you are writing a tags.
Check करेगा वो अंदर. ठीक है, okay sir.
I hope guys this thing is clear to everyone. Now once this thing is done, just go back and just check this out because we have done a lot of things. So, and I hope all of you understand, because when the code is keep increasing, so we need to check everything because otherwise it will break, it will hamper other things. So just go to the localhost 3000. It is asking this thing, right click and inspect. First of all, just go to the console section. Just go to the local storage section, right? It has older token, right? It has Samsung Mobile and everything because I have tested so many things in the React. So the best practices, I do local storage.here, right? So it is clear. And now I just cross this thing, reopen this thing, paste it, right click, inspect it, because I'm using in localhost 3000 now, because on every batch, my application is running where? My application is running in localhost 3000. So this is not my first batch now. So it means I have done this token handling in so many batches. So in so many batches, if I done, so everything is running on localhost 3000. So it means token is stored based on the domain. So localhost 3000 is a one domain for a React. So it is stored. It is showing you earlier token. Make sense? So if I hope Ritik you also understand. This token is the previous batch token, right? That's why it has Samsung mobiles and rest of the details. Because for a previous batch, I show some shopping application they are creating. So now from here, I just go to local storage. It is empty, so no token, right? Fresh. Log in it. So I just go Tim and 1, 2, 3, and I click on the login page. Right, it is in the home section. Perfect. And now the point to be checked is it has something called local storage. Now if you just see, it has a token. Makes sense? So now it has a token, right? Now if we check this out, add list, right? So list is saying no nodes found. I think because I changed it for the token, so I think it is checking for the token as well as for the list. So it is saying this error in response because I'm passing that. So I need to pass a token. That's why it is not working right now. So I need to add some code in this because it need a token. I hope you all of you crack this point. All of you understand this thing because app.js is saying, hey, verify the token, right? Because why verify? Because you are going to where on nodes, and on nodes I have not set a token, right? So I'm not set a token, so it will say bye-bye. Bye-bye means this thing. So it is giving 401 and we have not handled the 401. Makes sense? I hope everyone understands this thing. So it means code is working according to us, right? So we need to add the token handling on this list, then it will work. And I hope everyone understand the complexities. It means when you keep adding, it is complex. That's why we need to spend a lot of time. And the biggest advantage when I was fresher, what I feel, because we are actually, I have the group of my friends around 20 to 25, and believe me, me and including my two friends are become a developer, and we all are in the IT industry. We worked for the IT industry. We work for the various brands. Only the three, right, out of this whole group, because the problem is we all of three is believe in the coding. It means we spend a lot of time, because in the college time I actually build software and selling the softwares. So I pick the orders because I know the technology. I am working on the technology, so I pick the orders and selling the softwares, right? So when I go for a first interview, I got hired because I have the projects to showcase, right? And I have the immediate joining because I work for off campus. Right, not with the on campus. So I go for off campus and directly I got hired. and because my other friends are hired in on campus as well as, but I hired as a Java developer because I applied for a Java job, and I applied it, and that's the first banking application I worked there as a Java developer. The best part is because I choose my technology, I choose my frameworks, and I selected on that thing because I have the experience of this. Why my other friends are not able to do it? Because when you're doing the coding, you have a patience of the coding. It means because code would not work like this. Engineering is like this. Because if you heard about this, you know the when the first bulb is get created, how much attempt is required to create a bulb? Believe me, 10,000 times. The who create the bulb, he is get fail 10,000 times, and he said, I know the way how to create a wrong bulb in 10,000 ways, because he attempted 10,000 ways. So engineering is like this. It means when you're doing the engineering, it is like this: create it, run it, fail, find it out, fix. It is like this. So that's why very few of them is become developer. Rest of them is doing here and there other things, right? But if you want to become a developer, you need to work like in this fashion. It means you create something, there's a bug, find out the bug, you will stuck. If you're stuck for, let's say, 5 hours or 2 days, you are lucky because now you know the error. Internally, in deep side, you know why this error is coming, right? Then you're able to fix the next time the error will come, you will fix in a very quick manner. I hope all of you understand. That's why fear of coding is nothing, because most of them in the BTech or MC or BCA, they just do some coding and then they just raise the hand because they don't know engineering would not like this. If you ask to any engineer, engineers are like this. It means on either on automobile or on the civil engineering, everything is like this. It means they are just keep testing, running, try it, again keep testing, try it. So it is like this. Engineering is a regression. That's why I'm saying it's a regression work. So you need to have the habit of this. Then you are able to do a developer. But if you sit with this mindset, I just sit and I just do code. If it would not work, just close the laptop, goodbye to the coding, right? And look up for some other option like MBA, I will do it. So believe me, in for example, if you have an MBA in finance, and if you do some wrong things in a finance, you will get fired. But here, if you do some wrong thing, you have a bug and you will resolve it and company will pay you because you are resolving the bugs. So bugs are what? Bugs are this. So it means if you find it out, IT, particularly the software engineering, is pretty much easier job because you are injecting the bugs and then you resolve the bugs and you will get a salary based on this, right? But if you are on some different profession, there is no acceptance of a bug. For example, if you're a surgeon, right, you cannot inject a bug on a heart surgery, right? If you are a barber and you do some wrong haircut, right? So you cannot. It means there is no expectation of any bugs. But here, if you inject a bug, you can just find out and then fix it because it's an engineering, right? I hope everyone understand what I am trying to say. That's why because most of the time when students see a lot of code, lot of things, they just surrender. But I am saying because a lot of get surrender, so that's why the monopoly is much more higher, right? So for a fresher, there is a much more monopoly because very few have a brave soul to work on it, right? So moving back to this thing. So Ritik, Bug Bounty, I am recommending. Bug Bounty is only and only come when you actually know how to develop the things. How you find out the bug? How you find out the bugs when you don't know how to build something. So it means if you want to find out the bug in some application, you must be very good in some business side of that application. So you will check on a functional side. You will. It means first is the business side. It means, for example, in a shopping, you are checking card count is correct or not, total amount is correct or not. That is called the business side. You must be very good on a business side first of all, and then you are very good in some code journey. It means if you've done some coding, so you know what kind of mistakes usually developer will does. So you can find out the mistake. You can find out based on your journey. So you can find out the bugs there, right? So what inside in the bug bounty, it is basically they are just telling you what sort of issues will face. But the point is, if you don't know the coding, it is very like most of them know about the SQL injection. Can anyone actually done the practical of SQL injection? Like I done practical of SQL injection. I know how to remove the SQL injection. Very few of them. So most of them know the SQL injection, but they don't know how to use it. Like most of them know that what is token, right? But how to generate, how to use it. Now you see how to generate it, how to use it, right? So do not stuck on some bigger names, right? The brutal truth is, if you know a one technology and you know inside all depth of the technology, and you build some project, so you know most of the things. Now if you want to do some penetration thing, you want to do some automation thing, you want to do some cloud thing, these are the some bigger names you can add on it. But the ground level is this. If you know this ground, then you are able to find out the bugs. You can do the bug bounty, because students are penetrate on the bug bounty because they know there's a $5,000 prize money for this. So they just see the 5,000 rupees. I mean the $5,000, right? Not the rupees. So they know it's a huge value. But the thing is, they are not doing what I should know for this. It means if I want to earn $5,000, what should I need to know? It means what sort of thing I need to work for this. That is important. Same as when you're got placed, you must be aware what sort of things you are going to do in your office instead of the package, right? So if you work on some good project, you have a good potential, and you work on some great technologies, on some good business stuff, so your earning will be get increased automatically. But for example, you get hired in some company and you're doing some maintenance, you're doing some technical support, and you're in some bigger brand, right? So you're actually wasting your career. So that is the important thing. So moving back, guys, moving back to this thing, that is so far our application is working fine. Now local storage has this token thing. Now we have the token. We want to send this token just to fetch the data. So the first thing is go to the list, and from the list side, just send the token. So from the list, this is the list, and you have this URL. This is the URL, and from this URL, I will append question mark token, right? I will append a token, and where is the token? Token is in this local storage dot token. Right, so just to verify, inspect console and then local storage. It has the token, so we have the token. So we have verified this token and we are passing it. So this token is send it here, and this token will be in this app.js, and in this app.js. In app.js, here we are going to verify the token. So that would be a request.query. For example, I will fetch from the request.query or either request from .body. It depends how the token is coming. So let's say I'm assuming request.query.token I have. If I have the token, so I have the token thing. I verify the token. If it is verified, then go to the next. It means go to the routes. Otherwise, do not go to the routes. So let's verify this thing. So go back here, and sorry, this place here, and if I want to verify this, I'm on the list or not, so I just do right click, inspect. First of all, I need to verify is the token is get verified or not. It is giving some error in JSON. First of all, I need to look up local storage only. So local storage has this token, and the token I have passed, is this token is really passed or checked? Is this everything is correct or not? The answer is console.log. So console.log token receive is comma token. Token is where? Sorry, the token is received here. That is in the token. It's correct. And is this thing is verified or not? So it means after verification, I will say obj. Makes sense? And from here point of view, I'm saying console.log, calling next. and if it is calling next, so it will be go on this place, right? So it will be on this place, and it will be on list, and list will does its own work, right? So we need to verify. So from here we need to verify, guys. So it's a last step to identify. So we are here in the list, and I press enter. So it should tell me. So response error, perfect. Now from the server side, I will check. I need to check the thing called whether it has dashboard.js, logo is defined, list.js we have. I think there is some problem because I am on this particular section. So where is my terminal? Terminal number 1. And from the terminal, yeah, here is the error. So it is saying jwt.verify token. So token.js it is giving error. Let's go back to this token.js. So where it is saying jwt.verify token. What is it saying? Token.js line number 9. Verify token, why it is saying in the verify token it is saying the error. So here we have used this jwt and jwt dot, it's a verify, I think. So there is no need to verify token. It is, I think it's a verify it is going to use. It is auto completely, right? So you can check this thing is I write the correct one, jwt npm, go back to this particular location, because it's a third party API, right? So from here, just go down, sign, we have done, sign, and then verify. It's verify, right? So it is correct. So we have written verify token, so that's why it is failed. So we restart it. Okay, once I restart it, okay, in the token.js, okay, I need to omit this J, right? Okay, move back to this section. Now from this place, we are here in the list, and now it is working, right? I hope you understand, because I press list and it is on the list, so it would not go to the search page. I mean, it would not go to the login page. And why it is not moving to the login page, the reason behind is because it has a valid token. So it is showing this. Again, we need to take care also one thing, if the token is not valid, so I need to create a mechanism, go back to the login section. I hope everyone understands this thing. So guys, you need to add search and delete functionality. And we will add a mail functionality on the next class. So mail, how to generate a mail and how to attach a report, right? So we'll see. It means the report would be, for example, I have a list of records. I want to send this as a mail, right? It means once you add the record, so I want to show what sort of records you have. I mean, what sort of notes you have in an Excel format. So we'll see how the Mongo things will be get converted into the Excel, how the Excel is generated, and how the Excel is become attached and send it to the mail. So guys, any questions you have? So please raise your questions. We have done a lot of coding today. So all of you need to verify everything. Any doubts, guys? If you have in your mind, so please raise. So no questions. So I will upload this code, and you will pick all the code stuff from this particular location. So I'm sharing the latest one, which has both of the code because we have done a lot of changes in our code.